You do not book a direction session because you need more possibilities. You book because the possibilities have stopped helping you decide. Welcome to the Aligned Edit. I'm Veronica Dietz, founder of Taiki Digital Agency and a business advisor who helps founders identify what is actually misaligned before they spend more time fixing the wrong thing. This is the show where we look at the patterns that keep smart founders stuck and name them clearly enough that you cannot unsee them. Let's edit the noise and look at what's actually happening. The 2 episodes before this one were about patterns. Monday was about the business that looks like it has 6 problems, but actually has one structural arrangement producing all of them. Tuesday was about the founder who became the arrangement, who delegated the task and kept the judgment, who built a company around her ability to perceive and then wondered why growth kept increasing her workload instead of distributing it. In either of those episodes made you feel accurately described. Today is about what happens next. Not a plan, not a framework, not 12 action items organized by priority and color-coded. We're talking orientation. There is usually a point before a founder books a direction session when she has become almost comically overinformed. She has the notes from the consultant, the voice messages from 2 business friends, the strategy document she made 3 months ago, saved posts that made her question her entire offer, those 4 browser tabs open for services that solve 4 completely different problems. She keeps thinking, the next conversation, the next piece of information, the next outside perspective will make the answer obvious. Instead, every new input creates another plausible direction. She is not confused because she failed to think it through. She is confused because she has thought it through far too many angles without identifying which angle should govern the decision. That is usually where a direction session begins. There is a reason the compass was invented before the clock. The compass was invented before a measuring cup. With a founder saying some version of it, I cannot tell what is actually wrong. She is not short on ideas. She may have 12. She is not unwilling to act. She has probably been acting for months. She cannot tell which issue is the problem and which issues are reacting to it. That distinction matters more than most founders realize, because when you cannot tell which issue is load-bearing, every issue looks equally urgent. And when every issue looks equally urgent, you either address them all simultaneously or make slow scattered progress on everything, or you pick one, fix it well, and watch the pressure reappear somewhere else 2 months later. So neither of those is a failure of effort or intelligence. It is a failure of orientation. And orientation is what a direction session provides. Let me tell you what it actually is. A direction session is a focused business diagnostic. It's 1 hour. You bring me one problem, decision, tension, or recurring pattern. I look across the structure, positioning offer, client flow, delivery, capacity, and decision making around it to identify what is actually creating the friction. Then I tell you what I see, not what I think you want to hear, not the most encouraging interpretation, what is actually there. You leave with 4 things: the problem named accurately, the pattern or structure producing it is identified, the cleanest next move, and clarity about what does not need your attention yet. The 4th one matters as much as the others because relief often comes not from knowing what to do, rather from knowing what you can stop doing. From having someone tell you that thing you have been circling for 3 months is not actually the governing issue. you can put it down. Let me also tell you what it is not, because this is where the confusion usually lives. It is not an introductory sales call. We are not spending the hour deciding whether we want to work together. We are working. It's a working session. This is not a generic coaching. I'm not asking you what you think you need and reflecting it back with encouraging language and growth mindset steps. This is not a brainstorm. You will not leave with 30 new ideas and a fresh sense of possibility and no idea which of the 30 to pursue first. Okay, actually, you might leave with some fresh ideas. You actually might have some new possibilities and paths that you want to explore. However, you will know exactly how to do it. It won't be abstract. It is not a full business plan. Let's be honest here, guys. It's 1 hour and we just met. One session does not rebuild your entire business. It can stop you from spending the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months rebuilding the wrong part. It does not begin with tactics before diagnosis. That is the sequence founders are constantly offered. A friggin' solution is prescribed before anyone has tested whether the stated problem is the real one. A direction session deliberately reduces and reverses that sequence. I can't tell you how many times someone has come to me at Taiki Digital Agency for, here's a recent one. They wanted to improve their site for mobile use. They wanted to optimize it because it was clunky and not efficient, and they can see anyone on a mobile device immediately drops off. They needed more than that. They could have hired me just for that, and I let them know, if I only serve this issue you're bringing to me, I will do you a disservice by not addressing what's really happening here. What's going to keep happening even after we optimize the mobile version of your site. There was more pain, more friction, more complications hidden under that one minor request. And that is how a direction session was actually born in the discovery calls of Taiki Digital Agency. Because they were coming for a service to cure a very loud symptom that their business was screaming for attention. Was it more leads, a new sales funnel, a better website, better copy, better positioning? And there was always something deeper, a load-bearing issue that was very quiet, and I could immediately clock and read and present. Most of the time, the business owner was open to the full solution. And other times it's very overwhelming when you come for copy or paid ad, and I'm telling you, we need to do all of these things in order to make this successful. I digress. A direction session, again, is deliberately reverses the sequence. So what does that mean? I know what some of you are thinking. Can 1 hour actually do this? That's a very fair question. Business support is usually sold by volume. You know this, I know this. More calls, more modules, more access, more time in the room. Somewhere along the way, we learn to measure the value of business support by how much of it we receive. More calls, more modules, more access, more time in the room. But a direction session is not valuable because we attempt to rebuild your entire company in that 1 hour. It is valuable because sequence changes the cost of everything that happens next. I already mentioned it once. The compass was invented before the clock for a reason. Diagnosis before prescription, identification before action. You can spend 3 months executing a smart strategy and still end up further from the business you want if the strategy was built around the wrong problem. The website can be beautifully redesigned. This is possible. The funnel can technically work. The new hire can be completely capable. The launch can hit every benchmark. And none of it will resolve the tension if the intervention was attached to the visible symptom instead of the governing issue. What does that even mean? That is what makes the wrong diagnosis so expensive. That's what that means. It does not always produce obvious failure. Sometimes it produces competent work, completed on time, aimed in the wrong direction. The compass is more valuable because you don't need to spend more time in the wrong direction. You need to spend your time, your money, your effort focused on the right direction. And then the time is relevant. A direction session does not promise to solve your entire business in 1 hour. It identifies what the next season of work should actually be solving. Inside the session, I am listening for more than problem that you're naming. That problem you named first is usually not the problem. Sometimes you guys are on point, most of the time you're not, and I'm listening for where your language changes, where you become unusually certain, where you go vague, where you say you have not made a decision, but your behavior has already been organized around one answer, where the business says one thing and your capacity says another, where you keep returning to one detail because it's carrying far more weight than it appears to be carrying. I am looking for the contradiction that explains why all the information, all the effort, and all the possibilities have not helped you decide. That is the gap the direction session fills. Last month, or maybe it was 2 months ago, I had a direction session that I still think about. It was 2 months ago. And she is running a very successful website agency. She builds sites for a specific niche. She's very strong and convicted in her values and who she serves and why she does it. I loved it. Beautiful, very attractive branding, attractive messaging. Her work is exquisite. I would hire her. And she was compromising her pricing to get the job, to fill the niche for these clients because they do sustainable, ethical work that doesn't make a lot of money, but it could. But that's her clients are usually in a position where money's tighter. So she lowered her rates and she's offering more. And when we did the math, she was so stressed out because she would have really high months and then really low months. And when we averaged out what she was making, it was like $11 an hour. And she was shocked. She couldn't believe it. Because what do you mean I'm making $11 an hour? Well, you're working sun up to sundown. You're not taking any time for yourself. You are constantly on a client project all the time. And when you have those high months and working from sun up to sundown, you aren't spending any time on your own business. You're not spending any time on growing your own business, creating your own voice, your own identity that stands out in an online void to bring in more business. And because you're spending so much time working on client projects, your hourly has gone down from $100 to $11. And then guess what? 2 months later, you're in a very slow month and you're panicking and you're stressed out and you feel burned out. That didn't take long for me to diagnose that. And she was shocked and stunned, and it's changed the trajectory of how she manages her business and how she manages her time and how she works on client projects and even pricing. And she has a new offer that will sustain the in-between. So that is the gap that a direction session fills. I am looking for that contradiction that explains why all the information, all the effort, all the possibilities have not helped you decide yet. Let me give you another example. These are composites. They're not specific clients, but every one of them is drawn from real work. One time a founder comes in thinking she needs a new offer. We discover the offer is not the problem. Her delivery model makes selling more of it something she quietly does not want to do. The offer's fine. It's the structure around it. A founder comes in thinking she needs more visibility, and we discover people are finding her. It's the positioning. It asks them to interpret way too much before they understand what to buy. It is not a reach problem. It is a positioning problem, one layer deeper than the website copy. It is an interpretation problem. People are arriving, but the business is making them work way too hard to understand what they are being invited to buy. A founder comes in thinking she needs to hire, and we discover she has not decided what authority she is willing to transfer. Another hire would create another person waiting for her approval before acting. The problem is not a headcount. It is unresolved decision ownership. A founder comes in thinking she needs to rest, a vacation, more days off. And we discover she's exhausted from carrying one specific unresolved decision through every part of the business. And it shows up in her marketing, her delivery, her client conversations, her pricing. The exhaustion is not about volume. It is about the weight of something she has not yet decided. In every example, the visible issue was very real and very loud. The sales were slow. The exhaustion was genuine. The team really was waiting. None of this is imaginary. It simply was not the correct place to intervene. But the visible issue was not the correct place to intervene. Here are 2 sentences I want you to carry from today. You do not book a direction session because you need more possibilities. You book because the possibilities have stopped helping you decide. And the value is not leaving with more to do. It is knowing which decision deserves to reorganize everything else. I'm going to say it again. The compass was invented before the clock for this exact reason. If you are looking at your business and cannot tell the real issue is the offer, the structure, the positioning, the capacity, or the decision you keep postponing, book a direction session. You do not need to arrive having correctly identified the problem. That is the work we do together. Bring me what you think is wrong. Bring me the 12 possible explanations. Bring me the version that still feels tangled after 3 months of thinking about it. We will identify what is actually asking to be addressed, what deserves your attention now, and what you can finally stop carrying as an active problem. A direction session is 1 hour, $500, and afterwards you receive a personalized 90-day decision map. This captures the governing issue, the decision we identified, the cleanest next moves, and what can remain untouched for now. It is not 90 days of homework. It is a way to keep the business from dragging you back into every competing priority once the session ends. The calendar will be linked in the show notes. Direction sessions have been filling up like crazy over the last 2 months, and I'm so excited about it. And I love working one-on-one with you guys because the magic is you unloading, you being messy and sharing. And I promise we're going to get to the solution much quicker with more clarity than you would on your Google and ChatGPT hunts. So tomorrow we're talking about the exhaustion economy and the market built around helping founders recover just enough to return to the structure that exhausted them in the first place. It's going to be juicy. I'm going to get some vulnerable stories shared, and we'll see what happens. But until then, You can catch me on Threads at the Veronica Dietz, or book a direction session and we can unpack everything for you. I'll talk soon.